All right, we're live.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to day one of How to Love Yourself in 5 Days. We're Steve and Odille Remmert, and we're so glad you're here. So this week is about helping you to understand brain and body experience real self-love, and it's really not just an idea, but it's a biological state. So we want you to know that every day is going to kind of build on the next. So we're starting here today with the foundation of the biology of love. So I'm assuming we're making an assumption that if you're here, that the notion of self-love is something that you've been struggling with, something that you've had an issue with in the past. It might even feel like a bit of an impossibility. And I know that that was kind of our experience. Um, I don't want to speak for you, Odile, but yeah,
Oh, please do.
I know that we have both experienced uh, difficulties with being able to love ourselves in the past, and having gone through this work and this process to actually be able to experience and know that reality of being able to love ourselves. So if that is something that feels like it's a bit of a struggle right now, that's what these 5 days are about. So any other words or your experience, Odile, of struggling with self-love?
So thank you, Steve. Yes, I mean, I didn't even like myself, never mind love myself. And I do now, so genuinely. So the reason we're sharing that with you is to just let you know how the fact that it is possible. All right, so let's get straight into it. So we're going to be doing these 5 days in two parts. There are two parts to authentic self-love. The first part is the biology of it, the brain and body chemistry. And we'll be diving into that today and tomorrow, day one and day two. And then the second part is the unconscious references that prove our self image. And we'll be diving into that for the third, fourth, and fifth days of this 5 day workshop. So, very briefly on that part, the reason it can be so difficult to love yourself is because it's not based on logic. So, you may have found, people say, "Oh, but you're so lovely," or "You're so kind," or but you're so talented." So people give logical reasons for loving yourself or that you should love yourself. But the reason those don't work is because while you are consciously thinking about those logical reasons, the unconscious part of your brain is referring to unconscious evidence that proves you're not lovable or you don't deserve or there's something wrong with you, whatever those references are for you. So we're going to dive into on the third, fourth, and fifth days of this 5 day workshop. We are going to go into how to find those reference, what they are, how to find them, and how to change them. But we need to lay the foundation of the biology first and do the brain and body chemistry first. So that we're going to start on today. And towards the end of the session, I'm going to give you a little technique, an exercise that you can then practice from today till tomorrow's session, when we will build on that. So I'll give you then the next level of that. So, in order to just give you a brief foundation of the science behind this, the simplest way to explain this is thoughts are connections between neurons in the neocortex of the brain, and those connections trigger matching chemicals. So, to put it very simply, negative thoughts trigger stress chemicals like adrenaline, cortisol, and positive thoughts feel, good thoughts trigger chemicals like feel good chemicals like endorphin, serotonin, and oxytocin. So that's a very important foundation to understand how all of these exercises work. So this is all about physiology rather than intangible things. Okay, so we're going to start with the little technique I'm going to teach you today. Is it's like if you're going to run a marathon, you need to condition your body in order to run a marathon. So let's say you won't wait until the day of the marathon to start running. You need to run before. You need to develop the stamina and the muscles and so on. And in the same way, if you were going to play a concert, you wouldn't wait until the day of the concert in order to pick up the instrument. You have to learn the instrument and develop the muscle memory in order to be able to, so that you've got it when you need it for the concert. In the same way, the technique I'm going to teach you today is designed to condition your brain and body for love. So we're going to start with the basis of love, and then we're going to add the self bit of self-love starting tomorrow. So today you're just going to literally learn how to change your brain chemistry, your brain and body chemistry, so that you are producing the chemicals that cause the feelings of love. And very briefly, the effects of endorphin, serotonin, and oxytocin. There's lots of effects, but one of the main things is that as they go through the bloodstream, they dilate the blood vessels, and they have an impact on your organs. They bring blood to the prefrontal cortex of your brain. So there's a lot of health benefits as well as helping you feel good, right? So, Steve, did you want to pop in with anything before I move forward?
Well, yeah, I appreciate you diving right into this, but just to back up for a second, it really is just the understanding that the experience of loving ourselves, self-love, it's it's an emotional feeling. It's a neurochemical state. So oftentimes, and I'm thinking about other modalities and that kind of thing where, we're doing different things to try to induce that sense of self-love or being able to love ourselves. And what I think what we're saying and what I'm hearing you say, and I'm just kind of condensing that a little bit, is that we're really dealing with a neurochemical state in our body. So, and really kind of setting that foundation or the groundwork that we actually have the ability to create that physiological state in ourselves.
Yes, that's it. Thank you, Steve, for clarifying that. Before we
Did
started this,
it?
before
But
we
did
did
it?
this morning, we were talking about everything we were going to say here today, and we were
Mm.
talking about the fact that I'm very I tend to rush. I've got so much information in my brain, I want to get it all out. And Steve was like, is much slower and kind of is paying attention to being clear and not skipping over anything. So thank you for
Well,
that.
and that's a point as well as people are engaging or listening to the presentation, feel free to drop comments or questions in the chat. And if you're watching this later on replay, please do the same thing because we will be checking all comments and questions as well.
Absolutely,
So,
yes. So I want to make sure that yeah, all of your questions are answered and you get clarification on everything. And thank you to those who have said hi in the chat already. So lovely to see you here and appreciate you being here live. All right. So what I want to do is just briefly well, first of all, share that the technique we're going to share with you today is just the very beginning. So it is, for example, you're starting to jog a bit and to develop the ability to run a marathon, or with a musical instrument, it's the first chords. You're just getting your fingers are getting used to
mhm.
playing whatever the instrument is. So it's important to bear in mind that this is not magic pill. This is not something like, oh, well, I'm going to do this exercise and suddenly I'll love myself. This is the beginning. And but it's a very important foundation because without this, you
Hmm.
can't do the rest. So for this exercise, we call this the beginner's exercise. And for it, you'll need a subject. And the subject can be anyone or anything that you already love, if you have something, or at least like a bit, something that makes you feel good. So it can be a person or an animal. So, for example, a pet, or it can be an animal that's not your pet, but you just love them. So it doesn't have to be something that a specific thing. It could just be monkeys or, something very general like that. If you can't think of a person or an animal, then it could be a place like Hawaii or the beach. It could be an activity, surfing, gardening, dancing. It could even be music. So something that makes you feel uplifted, something that helps
Hmm.
you can feel it in your heart. So let us know if you need help finding something because we've done this a lot. So we've got plenty of ideas for helping you find if you can't think of anything.
Can
There,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
I just pop in real quick? Just you know, the the reasoning behind or what is going on behind the scenes with using the imagination in this point, and that we're in this process now of trying to induce a different neurochemical feeling in our body. So we're going to use, the most powerful tool that we have access to, and that's our imagination. So I know that it's one of those kind of things that, and I'm saying this out loud because as I was getting in, as I was beginning this work, there was a bit of resistance on my part. It's like, oh, this all seems a bit airy fairy, or something, that it's like, okay, I'm gonna just sit here and imagine something nice right now, and that's going to change everything for me. But the reality is what we're doing is, yes, it's changing things, but it's changing the neurochemistry in our
Mhm.
in our system. So sorry to
Yes,
jump in with that,
absolutely.
but that's
No,
that's
that's
me projecting on everybody else.
no, that's a good point. And so the mechanism is that as we think of something or someone we love or anything at all, that is neurons connecting. Those thoughts and neurons connecting and triggering matching chemicals. So if you, what I wanted to say about the person or the animal, in fact, the place as well, anything like that, or even the activity, is it needs to be only good connotations. So, for example, a client I worked with used her younger brother for this as her subject, but he had passed away. So there was sadness. So we don't want any missing or longing or regret or worry or anything like that. So if you've got, for example, you may think of a pet, but it's a pet who died or that you're worried they're ill, then don't use that for this exercise. You use something or someone else. And as I say, let us know if you need help with that. All right. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take you through this exercise now. And so switch off your phone and get comfortable so that you can concentrate. If you can't think of a subject off the top of your head right now, press pause on the video so that you can do that first and then come back. And so I'm going to take you through this. I'm going to you just follow along as you go, and then I'll do some more explaining afterwards. All right. So take a deep breath, close your eyes. And I want you to start by thinking of your favorite color. And if you don't have a favorite, that's okay. Just pick one you like. And imagine being surrounded by that beautiful color. And focus on what you love about that color. And notice the feeling of that color surrounding you. Very good. And now think of your subject, that person, animal, place, or activity you love, and imagine holding them in your arms in a hug. And notice the feeling in your chest or solar plexus. Notice where you feel that love. Good job. And now imagine that feeling as a ball of light or energy. And imagine it spreading down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Very good. And now imagine that light or energy overflowing from you and filling the whole room you're in. Very good. You can open your eyes. So that is the basic beginner's exercise. Now, very, very importantly, if you didn't feel anything or you couldn't feel it very strongly, that's okay. So when we're doing this exercise, if you think of a hot bath, and so if a bath is very, very hot, the water's very hot, and you want to cool it down, so you run the cold water tap for a little bit, and then you switch it off again. How much cold water do you have to run into that bath for that temperature to change? It'll depend on how hot the water is to begin with. So if the water is like a little bit hot, and then you run the cold water tap for a little while, it won't take very long before you can feel a change in the temperature. However, if there's only hot water in that bath and it's boiling hot, and you run the tap for a few seconds and you switch it off, and then you test the water again, you're probably not going to feel any difference at all. And this is the same. So it depends on what your current balance is. So in other words, if you've got a lot of stress chemicals in your system already, putting in a little bit of the feel-good chemicals is probably not going to change how you're not going to feel the difference immediately. You'll probably need to leave that cold water tap running for a little longer, meaning you need to practice this little exercise more. And the key is to practice this exercise when you don't need it, when you're not triggered. In other words, like if you need to run a marathon, you want to practice running and build that stamina when you're not running a marathon, before the marathon. And if you need to play an instrument for a concert, you want to practice before that. You don't want to wait until the day of the concert. In the same way, the more you practice this little exercise, as every time you practice it, you are conditioning your brain and body, you're creating new neural networks in your brain, and the way to establish those neural networks and make them stronger is by repetition. So practice it first thing in the morning. Oh, and also we've got a free MP3 recording of this, so you don't have to keep playing it on YouTube. I will put the link in the description of this video and the first comment after we've stopped going live, and so that you can download it to your phone and listen to it when you're offline. Practice it first thing in the morning, as soon as you're awake, as much as you can throughout the day, and last thing at night before you go to sleep. As you can see, it only takes a few seconds. It really doesn't take long at all. And practice it as much as you can between now and tomorrow's session. And then tomorrow we will be building on it. I'll take you to the beginning of the self-love edition or level of this exercise. So practice every time you practice it, you're making neural connections in your brain. That's triggering feel-good chemicals, endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin, which are having a physical impact on your body. And you're beginning to condition your brain and body for those feel-good chemicals for the feelings of love. And you do it over and over again, even when you can't feel it. So that's the point I'm making. So even if you can't feel it now, do it anyway, because each time you do it, you're putting more and more of those feel-good chemicals into your system. And just like the hot water and the cold water and the bath, you will eventually start to feel it as long as you keep doing it.
Can I
Steve,
can I just add
get a
as
word in.
well? Yeah, it's okay. The what I found helpful in this, and I know in working with clients, another thing that is helpful is to give yourself a bit of a baseline as you're starting out with this. You know,
Oh,
you
yes.
may want to use the little 10 point chart or 10 number gradient, whatever. There's a name for that.
Yeah.
It's escaping me right now, but give yourself a subjective number, just like, okay, where am I at right now? 10, I feel elated, blissful. One, I'm, uh, catatonic. Someplace on that range, where would I find myself? And it's not important. You just want to give yourself some sort of a number to start with.
Mm,
It's like, okay, I'm feeling a level 7 today. I feel pretty good, and see if
yeah.
you can step into that place of observing or just how do I know that in my body? Even if you can't find a knowing of that, or it's like, how am I experiencing that 7 feeling in my body today? You're setting the intention. You're kind of putting your mind in that mode. Do the exercise, and then after the exercise, where am I at now? And again, it's okay if you feel like it didn't shift, or you're not sure how you're experiencing it in your body. But the more that we're doing that, the more we're setting the intention for that, it's building those neural pathways, and your brain is engaged in trying to do that. It's building that muscle, so to speak, and it's also helping to build that place of being the observer of what's going on inside, as opposed to feeling that sense of I am the experience, or I am the feeling. So that's what I would
Absolutely.
add to that.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. And in fact, let's do that now because I don't think we've been going very long. I think we've got time.
Oh, we got
So,
plenty of time. Yeah.
all right. So, if so, try this now. Notice how you're feeling right now emotionally. So, just be aware, become aware of what you're feeling right now, and notice where in your body you're feeling it. So it may be in your chest, your solar plexus, your stomach, your throat, wherever you're feeling it. Just notice. So without judgment, you're just noticing, notice it as just a sensation. And make a note, 0 to 10, how good you're feeling. So 0, I feel devastated and awful and depressed and horrible. And 10, I feel fabulous and blissful. So between those, just kind of guess, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I used to hate that question. 0 to 10, how are you feeling? Because I don't know. So just for your own, this is only for your own measurement. So it doesn't have to apply to anybody else's scale. All right, so make a note of that and pause the video if you need to. And now let's do the exercise again. So take a deep breath, close your eyes, and start by thinking of your favorite color. And imagine being surrounded by that beautiful color. And notice what you love about that color. And allow yourself to feel the feeling of it. Good job. And now think of your subject, that animal, person, place, or activity you love. And imagine holding them in your arms in a hug. Very good. And notice the feeling in your chest or solar plexus. And now imagine that feeling as a ball of light or energy. And imagine it spreading down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Good job. And now imagine that light, that energy radiating out from you and filling the whole room you're in. Very good. You can open your eyes. So now take notice of how you're feeling and notice where you're feeling it in your body. And now on that same scale you used earlier of 0 to 10, where do you think you are now? And you may or may not have changed, and that's okay. Like I said, if you haven't noticed a difference, that doesn't mean you won't. That just means you need more practice, more conditioning. And each time you do this, just like each time you get onto a bicycle to learn to ride, each time you do it, you're improving that skill. Each time you pick up an instrument to practice, you're improving that skill. So the other thing I wanted to mention that I meant to mention earlier is regarding visualization. So if, as I'm talking you through this exercise, you're not a visual person, that's okay. Just notice how you know things. So, for example, how do you know what you had for breakfast this morning? Or how do you know the last time you had a cup of coffee or tea? And you may not see it in your mind, but however you know that, that's what you need to do for this exercise. So just know. So you may not see the color, but think of your color. How do you know the color? And the same with the subject. So I hope that's helpful. Please do let us know in the chat or the comments if you're watching the replay, if you have any questions or you need any help on any of this.
The other thing that I just want to throw in along with that is kind of an understanding that this is not an emergency in case
Yes.
of emergency break glass
Yeah.
type of exercise. That I think I've had that experience myself and certainly clients as well, that it's like the exercise didn't work because I got really triggered and I tried to imagine my color and I couldn't do it. I tried to imagine my subject and I couldn't do it. And it's like this is about building those neural pathways. It's like handing somebody a guitar and we're learning one chord on the guitar. We're learning that bass ability to do something. I wouldn't expect, or you shouldn't expect yourself to be able to go out and play a concert, just because you're learning that chord. And that's what we're doing with this exercise is building that knowing, building that feeling state. The more that you do it, and I was just going to ask Odile, your experience of doing this, because you've been doing this a lot longer than me as well. What was your experience, or what do you feel like your experience over time has been doing this exercise? And do you feel like you can slip into that feeling a lot quicker?
Yes, thank you for the question. And when I first tried this, I have to admit that I couldn't hold it for more than a few seconds. It felt really uncomfortable because I was not used to it. I had a lot of stress in my life at the time, a lot of stress in my body. So it took me a long time. I think one of the biggest things for me as well was that I kept forgetting to do it. I kept forgetting to practice it. So I do want to say, set reminders in your phone or emails. Or a nice thing to do is if you put little notes for yourself around your environment where you'll discover them. So when we put, like if you put a post-it on the fridge or on the bathroom mirror, that's okay. but the brain starts to get used to it and then ignores it. So then you forget anyway. So keep changing the places. So if you put a note on the fridge that says, do the beginner's exercise or whatever, you could just put a heart on a post-it note to remind yourself. Then take it, so do the exercise quickly, then as you see it only takes a few seconds, then take that note and put it, in the coffee tin or in a shoe so that you keep finding it. You can use a couple of them, on your toothbrush, on your pillow. So keep moving it so that you keep surprising yourself. And that's how you will be able to become more consistent with it. But to answer the rest of the question, Steve, over a period of time, I I got better at it, and then I would get worse again. And so a big piece of this is, like anything, this is up and down. It's not a straight line. And that is not to say, oh, it's going to be really rocky or anything like that. It's to encourage you and reassure you that on the days or at the times when you can't do it, remind yourself that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means right then you can't, and you'll do it later. So be sure to remind yourself that this is like physical fitness, because it is physiological. So if you have ever tried to get physically fit in any way, either lifting weights or running or anything like that, or any sport, you'll find that some days you feel fantastic and you can do it brilliantly, and other days it feels like it's really difficult, or you seem to become weaker, or more unfit. And it's just because that's what happens in the brain and body as we progress, as we develop. So keep going, and give yourself permission to go, okay, well, I can't do it right now. I'll do it later. And then, give yourself a little reminder. So, yes. And so to finish answering that question, is that now it is automatic. So I am automatically in that state, not all the time, of course, because still human. And so, there are things that where I sort of fall off the wagon or whatever, but it's so much easier for me to get back on because it's automatic now. So I will automatically go into that state. And very often when things are if something happens that may be concerning, and this happens, I haven't even told you this, but I've noticed when I watch television or a movie, when something bad happens in the movie or the television, I automatically go into that state of love. So I haven't even ever told you that, but I've noticed it. And so, yeah, so that's the kind of
Yeah.
results that I've had.
Well, that's great. One thing that you know, um, behind the scenes note for you and I have to remember to plug my laptop in before we go on
Oh,
live. So we need to put that on the
the battery going dead.
so if I happen to disappear here in the next few minutes, that's why. Uh, but yeah, so just in full transparency. But I think that we're kind of coming to a point of summary and wrap up. Just a reminder to check the show notes or the description for that link for the little audio of the exercise. I would say that it's use that is and think of it as kind of like training wheels on a bicycle, and get to the point where you can do the exercise for yourself minus listening to it.
Mhm.
Use the audio as much as you need to help you get into that place, but the more we can get to that place of being able to do it, then we're not dependent upon
Absolutely.
technology in order to get ourselves into that state. So that's what I
Absolutely.
would do with
Thank you,
that.
Steve. Yeah.
Any
So
thoughts about anything else, or thoughts about tomorrow?
yes. So absolutely. Thank you for that. And yes, so the idea is to be able to do that exercise on your own without the audio, but the audio, repeating that audio over and over will help you get there. So thank you, Steve, for that. And so tomorrow, so please leave your questions and comments and things in the chat, or in the comment section. Tomorrow we will start by answering those. And if you need any help and so on. And then tomorrow will be about adding on the self-love part of this, the beginning of the self-love, the biology of it, the next step. All right. And so practice this little exercise as much as you can before then. And we will then see you tomorrow. I'm trying to remember what I'm supposed to do first here. Oh, yes, to end the stream. This is the first time we're doing this in this way. Okay, so